motion to adopt the minutes of previous council meetings. That is August 12th through September 10th. Councillor Peters, seconded by Councillor Sherwood. All in favor? All right, we have some presentations tonight. Presentation 9.1 is a delegation, Andrina Lusty with the Welcome Wagon program. Andrina?
Hello. Okay, now what do I press?
Nothing.
Hello, how are you? My name is Andrina. I'm with Welcome Wagon. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I just wanted to greet you and say thank you for working with us. Welcome Wagon has been in this community for over 95 years. This is a service that is great for meeting new people in the community and greeting babies as well. I appreciate the fact that you're able to see me and greet me and understand who I am. If you see anyone new in the community, please refer them to Welcome Wagon. I would greatly appreciate it. We work with the communities, we work with yourselves, we get wonderful letters from Your Honor themselves, and we also have some other great gifts from the local businesses. So we make sure we work well with everybody, which is a nice thing. So,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Andrews.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor Brown, and through you, your worship, to Ms. Lusty. Thank you very much for being here. I had, in fact, discussed something with our previous town clerk regarding a welcoming approach. And again, due to privacy reasons, we cannot, as a town, communicate to new residents, and I guess it's maybe through the tax office, but we can end up, of course, recognizing it through a letter through the mayor that would probably be through your organization. I truly appreciate what you do in the community and welcoming not only new residents, but new arrivals into our community, with our community growing the way it is. And again, you know, just keep on doing what you do, and anything that I think the town can do to support you, I'm hoping that my fellow councillors and the deputy mayor and the mayor will be there to also do that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your presentation. All the best. Okay. Thank you, Andrina. Bye-bye now. Okay, moving on, 9.2 delegation is not with us tonight. We've got 9.3, Marianne Lowry, Vice Chair of the Dufferin Community Foundation. Marianne, would you like to? Oh, you're Marianne.
Small change.
Okay.
Small change.
Very
Marianne
good.
is here.
Hi,
Marianne is our Vice Chair. I'm going to do the presentation tonight, though.
Okay, very good. And your name, sir? Sorry.
My name is Gord Gallagher, and I'm Chair of the Dufferin
Welcome,
Community
Gord.
Foundation. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, small change here too. I thought I had slides to show you, but anyways, we will circulate the slides later. But I'll give you the overview of what we're at. The Dufferin Community Foundation is a new charitable foundation within Dufferin County. We're just into our second year at the present time. We're part of a community of almost 200 community foundations across Canada that serve communities across Canada. Community foundations, the first question we usually get is what is a community foundation? And community foundations are charitable foundations that invest endowed funds. So that is, we don't spend the capital that we get from our donors. We invest it, and we give the income from that back to eligible charities on a yearly basis. And it goes on forever because we have the income from those invested funds forever. So it's a sustainable source of funding for our charitable sector. So endowed funds, it's just a little bit different than what most of the fundraising is, where it goes into general operating and gets spent on a yearly basis. Our board is all volunteer. Our board is all local. They come from various walks of life and from all parts of Dufferin County. We have financial advisors. We have business people. We have some people who have been involved in municipal government as well. So we come from all parts of the county, and with various interests, various skills. But one thing we all have in common is that we all are community builders. We want to see our community prosper. We know that our charitable sector needs that support to make it prosper. Community foundations are a little bit different from a normal fundraising in that we don't have a single cause, a single purpose. We're flexible. We can support any charitable cause within the county. So it gives a great deal of flexibility both to the foundation and to the donors who want to provide money to us. Donors the gifts will stay in the county. By definition, community foundations are foundations of the county and for the county. So it's of our community and for our community only. Donors get to choose their impact. We have a general purpose fund, we call it the Dufferin Vision Fund, and that the income from that will be distributed to the areas of greatest need. We know that needs change from year to year and from time to time, so that gives us the greatest flexibility. But we also have what we call field of interest funds as well. Donors who may want to support the arts, like Theatre Orangeville, for instance, or heritage, or environment, or they want to set up a fund for post-secondary scholarships. You know, the list is endless. If there's a charitable cause that supports that, we can fund and fulfill those wishes of the donors. Municipalities, of course, are charitable as well, so that means we can partner with your library, with recreation centers, and all those kinds of facilities as well. So the list of what we can support really is endless. So we have the general purpose one, we have the field of interest ones, and we also have a section that we call donor advised funds, and that's where families who may want to set up their own private foundation could set up a fund within our foundation. They avoid all the legal, all the hassles of setting up their own fund. It lowers the barriers to entry, because accountants tell us you need to have about $5 million for families who are going to set up a private family foundation. You don't need anywhere near that to put up a fund within our foundation. And we can support the organizations here, and the family then can have ongoing input into it. So a wide range of things that we can do, that we can support. We take cash, of course. A lot of people will use the foundation as an estate planning tool. Assets that have appreciated in value, whether they're shares or mutual funds or property, can be donated to a charity like ours. They avoid the taxes, and they get a substantial tax receipt they can use on other things. Life insurance policies, the beneficiary can be the foundation or their favorite charity. And unused RRSPs and RIFs as well, that suddenly become taxable at the end of a person's life. So I know I don't have too much time, but just a couple more points I want to make. We have, when we were a steering committee, before we were incorporated, we were out soliciting funds to get our startup costs going. We will be self-sustaining once we get our feet on the ground, but we would invite you to join your neighbors in Mono and Shelburne and the County of Dufferin who have become founding members of the foundation. Donations of $2,500 will put you in a founder circle, or $5,000 into their corporate circle, and there's recognition on our website. There are some literature pieces that are going to be passed out here that has a website on it. You can check out how we do it. The other thing I want to mention is that actually this coming Sunday we have our second annual fall event and mini grant presentation. We'll be presenting 3 grants of $1,000 each to qualifying charities. We started that last year. We're doing it again this year. We get sponsors for them and give it out. So just to get people used to understanding how it works. That's this Sunday afternoon, September the 29th, 3 till 6 p.m. at Adamo Winery. And we would invite any and all of you to come and participate. And again, go to our website, and there's full details as to how to register. Advanced registration is required to come to it as well. Okay. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer a couple of questions.
Thank you for your presentation. That's very complete. It's an exciting thing that you've started, so thank you, Mr. Gallagher. So the $2,500 that you've asked us for goes in, is it operational, or is this going in?
Yes, at this point, that money would be operational, because our legal and our ongoing audits and those kinds of things as well. Once the foundation has a pool of money that we're investing, we'll take a small percentage of it, to usually take about 1% of the income, to fund our own costs. But as a startup, we don't have that yet.
Right. As far as, I mean, I'm certainly supportive of this. We have a process for community grants. It'll be part of our budget process coming up shortly in the fall. And I think this will certainly a worthy candidate for inclusion in our community grants outlay this year. We have some comments from councillors. Councillor Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, thank you very much for the presentation. I hadn't heard of the foundation before, so your timing is great. Just briefly, if you wouldn't mind, could you expand a bit on sort of the makeup of the board? I'm assuming sort of local community members, obviously don't need details, but just sort of the sort of experience you have around the table.
Yes.
And perhaps briefly expand on the research tools that you mentioned, and how a project would be selected, because you'll likely get many requests, and I'd just be curious sort of what process you would go through to select the recipients of those grants.
So in terms of board composition, I'm from Mulmer Township, and I was involved in municipal government there for a number of years. Steve Doney is from Orangeville. He's a financial advisor with TD Waterhouse. Laura Ryan, Mayor of Mono, of course, is on our board. Marianne Lowry, who has a background in business consulting and business management, and Joan Waiter, whose family was Ideal Supply. So she has a background in business as well. And Paul Sutcliffe has just joined us this past year, and he was in business as well, in the aerospace metals business, actually. And he's from Amaranth. Marianne is from Mulmer. Steve's from Orangeville. Laura is from Mono. Who else did I miss? Laura's from Mono. Or I'm sorry, Joan is from Mono as well. So, in terms of the question, I wasn't quite sure the second part of your question.
Just about how a project will be selected from, what tools you're using or what the process to select project from the many that the requests that you'll receive. That's a board decision. Is there sort of a process?
Of how we're going to give out the grants?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a process. We have a grant application process, probably not unlike something like the town does, and we have a grant review committee, actually headed by Marianne. And this year there were, I believe, 16 applicants for all local charities for our 3 grants. Marianne manages a committee that vets them, and they are ranked for things like community impact. They have to be registered charities and all those kinds of things. So, and interesting, some of you that sit around the county table, you know that Headwaters Communities in Action manages some of their grant programs. We use a lot of the same people to vet ours as well. So they're developing a really good, solid skill set in evaluating grant applications, because that ultimately will be what we'll be into. Yeah.
Very good. Councillor Taylor.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. This is the second time I've heard this presentation. You may not recall, but you were actually at an Optimist Club meeting a few years ago, and I was in attendance, and you were describing what the process was, and I'd lost track of you. So it's great to see you again today, and I just want to let my fellow councillors know this is a great thing to do. There is so much money in Dufferin County that does not make it into the process after someone passes away. And I think what you're doing and the expertise that your board has, because these are professionals that are working to help this board and allocate the funds, is a perfect project for our community, and I'm fully supportive of what you're doing, and I thank you for the efforts that you put forth.
We do have community foundations in Centre Wellington and in Caledon, Brampton, Grey Bruce. Most of the communities around us have community foundations, so they're able to tap into that resource. And so we've bringing the concept into Dufferin County to do the same thing. So, and at our event on Sunday, actually, Cindy Lindsay from Community Foundations of Canada will be our guest speaker. She was the founding executive director for Guelph Community Foundation. Happens to live in Fergus, but works for the national organization, and has been a great resource as well. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. Councillor Sherwood.
Yes, Your Worship. Thank you very much, Mr. Gallagher. This really does sound quite exciting. In relation to your $2,500 grant request, I would like to pose this question upon the Treasurer. Are we still available as far as timeline goes for applying for grants?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through Your Worship to Councillor Sherwood, the deadline for the application is September 30th.
So I would recommend that you contact the town staff resources and get your application in as quickly as possible so that we can take that into consideration for our 2020 budget.
Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Your Worship. So if I may, through you to Acting CAO, Mr. Jones, we had, as a council, voiced concerns about the process for donations of such. I've had groups, and candidly, it's the Optimist Club asking me now about when is the deadline and what's happening with that. I'd followed up a couple weeks ago asking where we were in the process, and there was supposed to be a new process put forward for this and a deadline communicated. So now I hear it's September 30th, but we haven't actually shared the criteria with the service clubs or anybody else that's asking for it. So we're gonna create a bit of a dilemma here. So I just wanted to give you the heads up, and if it is September 30th, my suggestion would be we urgently move it because organizations aren't aware that it's September 30th.
Right. Mr. Jones?
Through you, Your Worship, to Councillor Taylor, thank you for that. That's something that we will discuss as staff and get back to you on.
Very good. So we have a request here that we move to approve the grant, but I think the motion's going to be that we're deferring this to town staff to include in our committee grant review process. So may I have a motion for that? Councillor Sherwood, seconded by Councillor Andrews. All in favor? Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. Appreciate your time. All right, next presentation, Mr. Evan Seppa. Welcome, Evan. Good to see you. Looking forward to hearing about what the good work you're doing. So.
I'll open up the presentation here. Buildings app that has all the heritage building and information and photos on there. The public gallery has about 30 resources currently, and almost 80 in the staff-only section of the website. Not all award-winning, but valuable nonetheless. So as this repository of applications grows, we enable staff and the public to answer more questions and accomplish more tasks with less effort and less time. If we take that application gallery and bundle it up with some news, some tasks, and open data, I got ahead of myself there, essentially that's what we have as Data Orangeville. So it's a website. On that website, right on the homepage for users to access, is an introductory video. I'm going to play that video for you right now.
Welcome to Data Orangeville, the town of Orangeville's official source for data and data-driven tools. To be data-driven means to be supported by hard empirical evidence and facts, removing personal bias, opinion, or speculation. I like to say that we provide answers to your questions with our data, and this empowers you with knowledge. Do you plan to develop your property? Check out our award-winning planning information portal to get detailed planning-related information about your property. Go to our streetlights map and look at the LED conversion progress. Also, you can report an issue with a streetlight directly to the town and Orangeville Hydro for remediation. See our transit routes and stops, and use Google Maps to get transit times and directions. Use the markup map maker to sketch out your development plans. See the detailed condition ratings of our roads. We have lots of fun applications as well, such as our tree sculpture map tour, which shows all of our sculptures throughout town, including photos, audio descriptions, and individual Facebook pages to like, share, check in, and post your own photos. Ever wonder what the oldest building in town is? Look up the Heritage Building Map and see all the heritage buildings on record. So where do I go to get all this great stuff, you ask? Head over to data.orangeville.ca. After you take a look at the latest news and watch some more videos on the homepage, head into the public app gallery to get access to all of our great data-driven tools. Now it's as simple as typing into the search to help you find what you're looking for. We are continuously developing our resources available in the gallery. Come back to Data Orangeville often and read the news feed to see what's new. We'd love to hear what you think. Contact us with any questions or suggestions to improve the site. We hope you enjoy getting answers to your questions at Data Orangeville.
All right, so that kind of sums up Data Orangeville. I'm going to move on to open data. So where Data Orangeville is a place where users can go for ready-made applications. Open data is geared directly towards a smaller group of users, but it's equally as important because it can indirectly impact many more users. In our processes where we have digitized our records, we can easily make a portion of that information open data, and it's ready for download or access to via API, which I'll get to an API more later, but so how is open data used, you might ask? Right now, we are providing our bus transit feed to Google so that users of Google Maps can see transit times and schedules. Also, our roads and building footprints, street trees data is all put into increasing the detail of base maps on the Esri ArcGIS Online platform that we primarily use here at the town. And open data makes that all easier to do. A little theoretical at this point, but schools and educational programs can include town data sets in assignments, and schools can perhaps solve new growth or health issues or identify trends that have never been realized or quantified by the town before. Also, app developers can include town data in their data sets and compile them with other open data programs to create awesome functionality for users. There are apps that exist. A good example of one is an app that shows you where AEDs, defibrillators are near you. So, that's an example of something that if we were providing open data to AEDs in Orangeville, we provided in that app as well. So it's not an app that we would make ourselves, it's an app that would be used in conjunction with all other open data programs across Ontario to make a really good universal data set. So to explain an API quickly by example, it would be reasonable for a student to download some data and use it, draw some conclusions, and be done with it. However, Google or apps like the AED app I just mentioned, they would require constant updates and regular live feed data, and that's essentially what an API is. It allows them to connect to our open data and get the same information that our data-driven apps get live from the database. So they can essentially plug into our open data sets and live stream data. So just to summarize, there's a lot of GIS work going on behind the scenes. Sometimes what we do in our process improvements is create some applications and resources for everyone else to use, and that will end up on Data Orangeville for private or public use. A smaller set of those applications and data will make their way into the Open Data Program, which is available on Data Orangeville. And again, that's where users can connect, download their data, and get APIs to our data. That's pretty much it for me. I think I'm all out of talking points. It was essentially meant to be informational for council. It's kind of a official release of Data Orangeville to the public. And soon we intend to be opening an open data program for the public, so thanks.
Excellent presentation. Thank you very much, Evan. We've got some comments from councillors. Councillor Sherwood.
Worship, through you to Evan. First of all, I want to congratulate you on the presentation, and I'm thrilled that we have finally publicly launched this amazing tool to our residents. But I just want to point out also for thanking you for your hard work for the 3 awards. For those that don't have a copy of the report, it's the Best Public Sector GIS that you received in May of 2018. We won the Canada's National App of the Month Award, June 2018, and most recently, the Best Web GIS Award in 2019. So again, congratulations. And I do want to tell you that the last award was for the Heritage Site, and I encourage everyone to take a look at that. It is phenomenal. There is so much information in there, and I can tell you our committee was very excited when we saw that amount of information. So again, thank you.
Councillor Peters.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and through you, thank you for the presentation, Evan. Wonderful work. I'm a bit of a data geek, so I toyed around on there. I'd encourage everyone in the public to see what's on there and have a look. Very interesting stuff, and as long as we're doing some sort of committee plugs, I look forward to working with you on some of the sustainability aspects and really mapping out the natural heritage resources that we have and some of that work. But I'm sure you have a list a mile long of projects that you'd like to complete, and so I'm excited to see what's coming down the line. So well done.
Councillor Andrews.
Well, thank you very much, and I guess I'm echoing my fellow councillors. Congratulations on all that you've done there, Evan. And again, we've had the pleasure of sitting down with you, and not to say exactly like Councillor Peters, but I am also a data guy, and as the chair of BDAC, which is the Business Economic Development Advisory Committee, this is data that we certainly look at through the town's department with Ruth Phillips, with the leadership of Mr. Osman. It's one of those areas that, people are always looking for opportunities from outside of this community, and if they see some fluidness, and having had the opportunity of looking at a variety of other communities, municipalities that have similar systems, this is robust, this is cutting edge, and I think there's a lot more that that you can do, and no doubt your schedule is getting quite busy. But I think the question I have to you, and I'm under the impression that we can certainly ask a question of him.
Absolutely.
Where do you see this going? I mean, how far can we go with something like this until we reach capacity, or is there no limit to capacity? So you look at the apps, you look at other departments that I know that could be a part of this. Your thoughts? 30 seconds or less.
Through you, Mayor, I think my main focus right now has been going back to the analogy of the iceberg, you know, the apps that we want, we probably all have ideas for online services, web services that we want to provide to the public. And you can see that it's a little bit more than just creating in the app. There really is a process and improving the way we do things at the town to make those applications a reality. So a lot of my focus has been on process improvement, like I've been saying, and that's just, you know, getting rid of paper records and digitization and all those things inherently create us apps like these. I mean, the end goal wasn't, the initial goal wasn't to create the apps that we've been building. It's kind of an end result of improving the process here at town. So, I mean, that's kind of the medium-term goal. Long-term is, yeah, I mean, long-term, it's endless.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
I'll leave it
very
at
much.
that.
Thank you. Now that we have
Ms. McKinney.
Thank you, and thank you, Evan. Just to round that answer out, I think one of the reasons why Ed and I have spent so much time trying to ensure that Evan gets the support he needs moving forward is because we're looking to build a digital strategy for the town of Orangeville that takes into consideration the various aspects of the town that you're looking for. So all the things that Evan is talking about are true, but building out on that platform as it relates to open data and the scorecarding capability as it relates to performance measurement and performance management would be immediate next steps. They're part of a broader, robust online digital transformation.
If I may, Mayor, I have one more
Absolutely.
just a question or observation. So where is this housed? Again, from is it in the cloud? Is it in our own servers? And not to have any trade secrets out there, but I think it's important from a security perspective too as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is basically a mini site for the town. It's just at data.orangeville.ca is where all this is located, and that's our public-facing view into what we're doing. There is a staff section to it, but that's, you know, that's all secured down. So both staff and the public are using this site, and that's where it lives. Is just it's a website.
Okay. Well, thank you for everything you do, and
just-
congratulations too.
Just to add to that, I mean, we're primarily on the Esri ArcGIS ecosystem. That is our foundation for everything we do GIS. It's the Esri platform.
Okay. Thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you again for your presentation, Evan. It's exciting to see the town embracing better level of communication internally and externally, and I know you're helping to lead that, so thank you again. Appreciate it. Okay. So, moving on to item 10 on our agenda, we've got a number of staff reports. First one is the Fire Protection Service Agreement. Recommendation that Council authorizes the entering into and execution of an amending agreement to the Fire Protection Services Agreement with the Town of Mono and the Townships of East Fairfax and Amaranth. Deputy Mayor McIntosh.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I find this interesting because this used to be the way it was 15 years ago, so it's only taken them 15 years to figure out it was a better way. The appropriate increases are in for the following years, so I think it's a good deal for everybody, and I'd have no problem moving a motion.
Okay. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Post, all in favor? Okay, thank you. All right. Maybe we can bundle the next two together, and if anybody's got any questions on these capital programs and operating fund variances, we can talk to them, but we have the 2019 first quarter capital progress report and the 2019 second quarter operating fund variance. Any comments or questions from council? May we have a motion to accept those two? Councillor Andrews, seconded by Councillor Peters. All in favor? Okay, and moving on to 10.4. May we have a motion to approve as presented the new council schedule for 2020? Deputy Mayor McIntosh, seconded by Councillor Post. All in favor? Thank you. Corporate climate change adaptation policy. So I'm just wondering if Councillor Peters would like to speak to this motion. I just had this, my spidey senses started going off there, and so I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is sort of an overarching look to make sure that the town, when it develops policies, takes into consideration environmental concerns, if I'm not mistaken. But over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And yes, you are correct. Your sixth sense was correct. I just had a quick question. First of all, I have read through it. I think it reads very well. As you said, this is an overarching policy document rather than a plan with specific actions. But I was hoping through you to Mr. Jones, could you give us an update on the progress of the plan, which would follow the policy and would have more discrete measures in terms of enacting some of the adaptation strategies and making, giving the town a little more teeth when it comes to pursuing those goals. If you could just speak to the timelines
Mr.
over the
Jones.
duration of the remainder of the contract of Ms. Miles.
Sir.
Through you, Your Worship, to Councillor Peters, the plan is underway. The focus has, to this point, been primarily on the policy, and we are moving forward with the plan. I don't have specific timelines that I can give you this evening, but that certainly is something that we can communicate back to council.
Very good. And Councillor Peters, I got a voicemail this afternoon from an organizer of the high school climate strike that's happening on Thursday, and they're going to be coming to Town Hall from ODSS and stopping. There'll be a little gathering here, and they've asked me to come and speak to that. So this is one of the items I'll be able to share with them of this council pushing forward with, endorsing climate action. So looking forward to that. Councillor Sherwood.
Yes, through you, Your Worship, to Mr. Jones. Could you perhaps clarify on page 2 of your report? It opens up by saying, staff has not received feedback on the draft policy. Who were we wanting feedback from? And is that a good thing?
Mr. Jones.
Through you, Your Worship, to Councillor Sherwood, the draft policy was brought forward to council in August for their review, and that report did ask if council had any feedback to provide them with staff. We've seen none, so the policy is essentially as it was provided in draft.
So through you again, Worship, Your Worship, we weren't going out to the public and asking for their feedback on this. This was just strictly internally.
Through you, Your Worship, correct, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Motion by Councillor Peters, seconded by Deputy Mayor McIntosh. All in favor? Thank you. Next item, 10.6, is a staff relations policy. This is mandated by the province that municipalities have this council staff relation policy in place. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to call attention to the public and those in the gallery to page 4. I've had numerous questions about how does council work and how does the interrelations work with the town. And in this, on page 4, it actually describes what is the role of the mayor, what is the role of the CAO, what does council do, that sort of thing. So I think it just provides the clarity that is needed, and if people are so inclined, it would be a good read. It's just one page, and I found it quite interesting for those political junkies that are wondering how it works.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Okay, we have a motion to accept this policy. Councillor Sherwood, seconded by Councillor Andrews. All in favor? Thank you. All right, 10.7, this is a report on digital services and data Orangeville. We have a motion to receive this. Councillor Post, seconded by Councillor Taylor. All in favor? 10.8, Global Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Energy. So this is a report that council endorses a commitment to the Global Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Energy, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the commitment letter and ancillary documents. Any comments from councillors? We have a motion. Deputy Mayor McIntosh, seconded by Councillor Peters. All in favor? Thank you. 10.9 is a heritage permit application regarding the town hall windows and doorway replacements. Heritage application be approved in accordance with the memo. Any comments from council? I'm sorry. Yes, Madam Clerk.
Just, Mr. Mayor, there was a slight amendment to the...
Oh, yes. Okay, sorry about that. So there's a bit of a wording change here. Let me read this to you, councillors. And that heritage permit application HR 12-19 be approved in accordance with the memo from Heritage Orangeville dated September the 4th, 2019, and included as attachment number 2 to report ISPL 2019-027 as amended at the at the Heritage Orangeville meeting held September 18th, 2019 to modify the panes of glass from 4 to 2 to facilitate a higher R value while maintaining the same design feature. So that came as a result of the meeting of September 18th. So this report will be amended to that effect. So may we have a motion to accept that with the change? Councillor Sherwood, seconded by Councillor Post. I'm sorry, Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to say, so around page 96 of this document today, I'd just like to thank Linda Addy and her group for putting forth such a fascinating read. And if you're interested in the history of Orangeville, it's really well done. And I don't know, I just found it quite captivating. So I'd just like to acknowledge that group. I think they do excellent work. And I was very interested in what the report had to say. So kind of fun.
Excellent. All right, any other comments before we call the vote? No? Okay, all in favor? Okay, thank you. All right, now moving on to 10.10, which is another heritage permit application. The recommendation is that this application be received and that the heritage permit application HR 8/19 be approved in accordance with the comments received from Heritage Orangeville at its meeting of August 16, 2018. We have a motion. Councillor Sherwood, seconded by Deputy Mayor McIntosh. All in favor? Thank you. 10.11, this is the removal of a holding symbol from application H1-19, 45 First Street by Mr. Rupinder Kaur. Councillor Sherwood.
Yes, Your Worship, through you to Mr. Jones. This property is in the non-designated heritage district. So what are the next steps after this? Will it then go through the approval stage to Heritage Orangeville?
Mr. Jones.
Through you, Your Worship, to Councillor Sherwood. The lifting of the hold just allows it to move forward under the existing zoning. It is going through a site plan process right now, primarily dealing with building the parking lot in the rear of the building. If they are going to be doing any renovations on the inside, they'll need to apply for a building permit, and it's at that time that that would trigger the heritage process.
Thank you for clarification on that, because as I was reading this, it does look like they're going to be doing some modifications. So I look forward to that coming to the committee. Thank you.
Very good. So, could we have a motion to accept and approve this bylaw? Hello? Councillor Sherwood? Seconded by Councillor Post. All in favor? Thank you. 10.12, renewal of a partnership agreement. And this is for our Small Business Enterprise Center. Report dated September 23rd, 2019 regarding the renewal partnership. May I have a motion to approve this? Deputy Mayor McIntosh. I'm sorry, Councillor Andrews would like to speak to this matter.
Thank you. As the chair of the BDAC, which is the Business Economic Development Advisory Committee, again, I just wanted to publicly thank Mr. Osman and his team, Ruth Phillips and Ellen Sinclair. They do an absolutely incredible job with SBEC and, you know, with the starter company and all the other things that are a part of that particular piece. The funds that have been awarded to me are going to play huge benefits for our community for the period of time that this particular agreement is in place, if I'm not mistaken, until 2022. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I just make a comment. Thank you.
Okay, so was your motion, Deputy, or I'm sorry, Councillor Sherwood? You made this motion? For sure. Seconded by Councillor Andrews?
And
all in favor?
Thumbs up.
All right, thank you. 10.13, Strategic Asset Management Policy. This is a recommendation that the council approve the Strategic Asset Management Policy as presented in Appendix 1 of Report CPS TF 2019-23. May I have a motion? Councillor Post, seconded by Councillor Taylor. All in favor? All right. Okay, moving on to item 11, We have minutes from a number of board meetings, including Committee of Adjustment minutes, Heritage Orangeville minutes, Orangeville Accessibility and Seniors Advisory Committee minutes, and Orangeville Police Services Board minutes. Recommendation that minutes be received. May I have a motion? Deputy Mayor McIntosh, seconded by Councillor Peters. All in favor? Okay, that brings us to item 12, question period. Anybody from the audience would like to speak tonight? Yes. Yes, sir. Mr. Ramsey, how are you?
Hello, my name is Noel Ramsey. I live at 15 Feed Street here in Orangeville. On Monday, September the 9th, the OPS gave a presentation to council where the public was able to ask questions. The presentation covered their capabilities, which included call stats as well as their financial numbers. They indicated that although they were showing their financial numbers, the source document they rely on is the OPS budget available through Treasury. In their presentation, they stressed that they were both financially accountable and transparent. I asked a number of financial questions as I found not only, not only their costs and revenue to be inaccurate based on their budget, but there was also a math error in the presentation. Regarding their third largest budget line item that has continually been exceeded, there was no explanation other than, quote, "We just get a chunk of money and we spend it," end of quote. On this item, the chief has committed to get me an answer. Now, as the meeting came to a close, there was a comment made from council that categorized my financial questions as both unfair and inappropriate. Here we have a department with costs over $10 million that represents 23% of our taxes. I believe the taxpayers have a right to know how this chunk of money is being managed. So my question to you, Mr. Mayor, and through you, the Deputy Mayor and the councillors, when the top management are presenting their finances in a public presentation, how could financial questions from a resident and a taxpayer regarding this so-called chunk of money be referred to as unfair and inappropriate?
Okay, well, I'm going to pass this off to Councillor Taylor, who's in the queue. Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I believe you're directing your comments at myself. And I guess to me, the situation is as this. I was not making a comment towards your comments. As a matter of fact, when we discussed it afterwards, I was surprised that you had taken my comments in that way. Instead, I was frustrated with the situation, as were some other residents as well, and I voiced that concern. Post that meeting, I sought you out, I apologized, and we had a nice conversation, shook hands. In my mind, the discussion and that evening is complete. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments from council? Well, I'm going to talk to it for a moment, Mr. Ramsey. I believe that forum that we were in, both on Monday and Tuesday night, we were expecting questions from the audience on various items, including financial matters, and I think it's unfortunate that it became uncomfortable in the room that night, and that those some of those questions were not answered. Has the police chief reached out to you at all and given you any further?
Chief has committed to get me some answers with regards to the questions that he couldn't answer, that's fine. I have no problem with that.
Right.
And through your worship to Councillor Taylor, yes, we did talk. We did discuss our common belief that the presentation had some issues. My concern really was with the comments that were made for the public record that such questions being asked of the three people on the stage were unfair and inappropriate. And I believe that as any taxpayer in the town is entitled to ask these questions, not so much that the presentation had problems, that's fine. People will see the presentation for what it's worth, where the errors are. But to characterize that the questions presented were inappropriate is what I took issue with, even though we actually did agree with the content, the character of the content.
Right. I think all councillors we welcome our community members to come and comment and ask questions in every forum that we're in, including tonight. And I don't think that it makes, that changes for any of our council meetings, including the ones. So hope you continue to come and continue to ask questions. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, Councillor Taylor, one more comment, sir?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I just want everybody to know, so I have followed up at Police Services Board meetings, asking for that financial information. The town staff has been very accommodating with that, and my understanding is he received that information today, or it's coming tomorrow, and the chief will have answers out for you. And you know, once you get them, I won't see that. That'll be a private email for yourself, but it'd be great if you'd share those out. I'll certainly ask the chief for the information as well, but you know, I think the public will have that from the chief very shortly.
Okay. Thank you again. All right. Anybody else in the audience that wishes to ask any questions tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 13, correspondence. We've had correspondence received from Dufferin County Cultural Resource Circle, from the town of Mono regarding traffic set fines, and town of Mono regarding municipal amalgamation. May I have a motion to receive all of those items? Deputy Mayor McIntosh, seconded by Councillor Sherwood. All in favor? Okay, now we have, well, there's no notices of motion given prior to the meeting. We do have a notice of motion at the meeting. Councillor Andrews, if you'd like to speak to this item, please.
Thank you very much. Your Mayor, Your Worship. I'd like to just take this time to thank you, Mr. Osmond, and in particular our clerk Karen Landry, for their feedback as per this motion. I think the approach that I've taken to this initiative is one of an opportunity to bridge our youth and community with an activity and event that may be a little out of the norm, but certainly one that brings a lot of memories to many people. Upon reviewing the resurgence of soapbox racing activities in other communities such as Elliott Lake, Perry Sound, Hanover, and Grand Valley, the idea is to engage our youth in a collective mentor-led initiative such as this. And my intent is to spearhead a connection to the community groups who may be interested in participating and to establish a working group once staff have reported back on the logistics, requirements, and potential resources as needed. Thus, my notice of motion, as I will read it, is as follows, and I have to put my glasses on. Whereas there has been a resurgence of soapbox racing in many communities across the province and country in recent years, and whereas soapbox racing is a unique event that promotes community involvement and offers local youth a chance to work on a fun project with adults and role models in their life, and whereas Council is serious of developing additional community activities that engage youth, and whereas Council wishes to investigate the merits of organizing a soapbox derby in Orangeville in 2020, now therefore it be resolved that Council for the town of Orangeville enacts the following, that staff report back to Council in December 2019 on the requirements and potential resourcing options on holding a soapbox derby in Orangeville in 2020.
Okay, well, I'm excited to hear that. I think, you know, we're in lots of serious discussions in the past few months, and it's nice to see something interesting and fun for our youth. And thank you, Councillor Andrews, for initiating this motion. So that's Councillor Andrews' motion. May we have a seconder? Councillor Sherwood. All in favor? All right, great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Councillor Sherwood.
I'm waiting for you, Your Worship, to call the next item on.
Oh, new business. Councillor Sherwood.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate.
Yes, hear, hear. Councillor Post.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to take this opportunity to let the public and council know that this upcoming weekend in Orangeville is Culture Days, which is a provincially mandated event in the cultural world. As part of that, there is a kickoff, which happens this Thursday night, in where we are presenting some of our amazing artists with some awards. So that will take place this Thursday evening at Town Hall. For any residents or council who are interested in attending, if you go to the orangeville.ca website and follow the links on there is a link to register for that event. Also, as part of that initiative, always leading into Culture Days is when we take the time to unveil some of the new art projects that we have in the town. And just recently, we unveiled 4 new utility boxes, which is a fantastic program promoting some great local artists. So coming very soon onto the Data Orangeville website, hopefully, is going to be, along with the tree sculptures, is going to be marking those utility boxes and where they are. But again, if you go to orangeville.ca, it has the news release of where the location of those 4 new boxes are. So if you want to pop by and have a look, we've got some fantastic new artists that are represented in the community. Also, as part of Culture Days, because it's my turn to promote some culture here, the Orangeville Art Group is going to have their art show and sale on Saturday and Sunday here at Town Hall called Autumn Artistry. So make sure you pop by and promote some local artists.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Post. Councillor Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just another event to add to the calendar for local restaurant owners or operators or employees. Sustainable Orangeville is hosting a waste symposium for restaurants. We have some local speakers. We have the county coming. We're going to discuss potential waste reduction strategies and operational initiatives that'll hopefully get some people behind them and start reducing the waste associated with the restaurant industry in town. So our team has hand-delivered invitations to just about every restaurant in town and some beyond, and we're hoping we get a lot of good feedback from that and good attendance.
Excellent. Thank you. Councillor Sherwood.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just one more item to kind of add to Councillor Post's and culture. On Monday will be Orange Shirt Day, which will be in recognition of the Indigenous children that partake in the residential school situation. And I believe, Your Worship, on Thursday there will be a proclamation that anyone can join us at the Alder Street Arena at 11:30, and hopefully on Monday you will see most of council out and about wearing our orange shirts proudly.
In recognition of this, yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Also wanted to mention Councillor Peters is on his way to the Communities in Bloom conference in Yarmouth this week. Looking forward to hearing a report. I did review the conference agenda, some very good program items in that, and I'm sure we sent the right person to learn and share those thoughts upon your return. I think that, we have, I'm sorry, anything else for new business, folks? No. Confirming bylaws. Recommendation the bylaws listed below be read 3 times and finally passed. A bylaw to amend traffic bylaw 78-2005 to establish a 40-kilometer-per-hour maximum rate of speed on here Ontario Street, and a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Orangeville's regular and closed council meetings today, September 23rd, 2019. May I have a motion to approve that bylaw? Councillor Post, seconded by Councillor Peters. All in favor? And may I have a motion to adjourn? Councillor Deputy Mayor McIntosh, Councillor Sherwood, all in favor? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.